It is morning here, so there's no news to speak of yet. But there will be. It's clear as crystal that the root of all evil is exactly that, and those in whom it is blooming are the enemy of humanity. The bankers are the problem. The bankers manufacture recessions and depressions to exert a greater control over social and political structures. The bankers create and finance the wars on both sides of the conflicts. The bankers orchestrate famine, poverty, and want. The bankers control the policies that control the media and the education system that is operated to maintain ignorance in the public so that they can be shorn like sheep. The bankers launder the drug money and keep drugs illegal. The bankers are the problem.
Greetings world. We are on decay. Everyone is pretty aware of the coming collapse of the US dollar. But let us look at this situation as we are in it now, across the board. From the time the elite came out of the woods of Panania, thousands of years ago, bringing with them the banking system, the people in the world have been controlled and enslaved by a greedy few. There was a time, before this system, when people actually owned their own homes, their food, their transportation, their clothes. They worked together as a community. They grew crops, raised animals, made clothes, built things, and traded for what they needed. This is how humanity is supposed to work. This is how it does work. How it did work before the bankers came. When Farmer Joe had too many eggs and needed meat instead, he went to Billy and traded according to the price that it costed. So we all thrived in peace and freedom, in harmony, in anarchy, without government control, without banks. In this wonderful world we live on, we have all we could ever need. Ground that grows food that is good for us and gives us strength and health. If only we would stop destroying it. We have a beautiful sky that gives us weather to help keep the earth as it should be. If we would stop destroying it, everything works together in harmony. If we would stop working against it and return to humanity, the way we are supposed to be. But we are infected by the bankers. They took the farms. They stole the crops. They forced people to work under them to get a payment of what they are worth. So they cannot have what they need. The elite put us all under slavery and tied us to money. But at least we get to watch it all crash and burn. So, without further ado, let us watch how this cookie is crumbling. The elite have the agenda of one world order. We have discussed this in our previous videos, especially explaining how the elite play both hands in the hand of order video and others. So we all know the elite have the plan in place for them to create so much chaos that the world crumbles into their hand of order. People will always beg for what the elite want to offer. The elite make a problem, and when you give them the predicted response, they give the solution. Right now they are making trouble across the world in an attempt to destabilize every country. This has worked well, as we have seen with the numerous false flags happening almost daily, the increased weather disasters, the new diseases and plagues that have gone around, and of course, the main control, currency. In this new world order there are three agendas to create a global community. There must be one religion, as we have exposed in great detail before. There must secondly be one ruler. This will come after the war. But there must also be one currency. This is coming about right now. Now here in early June of 2017 the big five central banks have poured a whopping $1.5 trillion of newly created paper money into the markets since the beginning of the year. Printing money out of thin air can create many things, primarily redistribution of wealth from the masses to the elites. After it was determined the recession began in July 1990, 8 months after C&I loans began to stall. The precursor, the silent warning shots. Wolf Richter wrote this. As such, the current 7-month stall is a big red flag. These stalling loans don't fit at all into the rosy credit scenario. Something is seriously wrong. And today we see the same thing. History repeats because those who control it follow the same script. We can take a look at the fall of ancient Rome for one example of what is happening now. The elite are telling the masses inflation is good. That means we have more money. But this only deceives, keeping the truth hidden that what goes up will always come down. People today think inflation comes from nowhere. No cause. No one looks at the root issue. The cause. The central banks. That actually create more money which causes inflation. Inflation does not come from thin air. That is paper currency itself. Canada, like America's market, is overly reliant on overseas investors. As it has a population growth that is practically at a standstill, it must get money from somewhere. Douglas Porter, chief economist of BMO Capital Markets, said this. I've always found it interesting that the Bank of Canada is so concerned about keeping inflation stable to help businesses and consumers plan, and yet it is almost as if the currency is a complete afterthought. The country has been steadily inflating, much as USA has done, to keep the country going, but like a deer shot through the heart, keeps running though it is dead. So the currencies of today continue to run. And the people continue to live on air believing they have possessions, phones, cars, food, clothes, while it is all an illusion. The collapse Canada is facing, like the other major countries across the world, will be systemic and will affect everyone in total. In 2016, Russia became the top global buyer of gold, at that time having $386.9 billion worth stored at the highly secretive Yamantau mountain complex. A Russian intelligence report goes on saying that the Federation is able to pay its total national debt of $148 billion from this massive gold wealth. Way to go, Russia. Meanwhile, the United States of America is in debt over $19 trillion, which will never be paid off. Combined with the debt of Europe, it is well over $39 trillion. The EU is the world's largest economy, and today, we see the European Central Bank has been printing money to buy Italian government bonds like it is going out of style. Since 2008, the ECB and Italian banks have bought over 88% of Italian government debt, according to a recent study. Soon it will be impossible for the Italian government to finance itself. Germany wants the money printing to stop as it lost Europe's largest central bank, Deutsche Bank, last year. But Italy wants the printing to continue. Since both are in the EU1 government, all countries involved suffer. The EU is great for the elites in Brussels. But like everything the elite do, it is not meant, nor is it, great for the average citizen. Brexit helped to start the splintering of the EU. The elites try a new world order, and when it collapses, they will be able to put in their bigger design for one world government. Brexit also helped to create more currency issues within the EU, which will possibly lead the EU countries to more quickly accept the one currency they have been hearing about for years now. We see the elite renovating the Middle East. Again, many Middle Eastern countries are on the verge of non-existence. Borders are being washed away by bombs and the constant mass genocide. Qatar may be the first to officially dissolve, as it is only a country because of the international investors who support it, like the Clintons who use it for a safe space. Qatar supplies gas and more to Europe, Russia, and USA. However, recently all countries have begun to turn away from them unless Qatar cuts all ties with militant Islam. This being close to impossible as the country is used to funnel money to these groups from the elite. Qatar has alerted Saudi Arabia and surrounding countries that it will open fire on anything in the water. If Egypt decides to follow Russia and China and distance itself from this country of murderers, all it will have to do to kill them is to close the Suez Canal. The Middle East will be seeing many more changes in the coming year, as will we all. Analyst Giorgio Quafiero stated, if these countries fail to resolve their issues and such tensions reaches new heights, we have to be very open to the possibility of these 6 Arab countries no longer being able to unite under the banner of one council, meaning the Gulf Cooperation Council, which works with the World Bank, with a branch in Washington, D.C. The Central Bank of Syria has been pumping millions to try to keep their currency alive through the slaughter of the nation. But I ask you, what is worse, a people who believe they are more advanced, those who live in the first world countries, think they have the most freedoms though their entire lives are controlled by the elite, or a people who have been slaughtered by the first world countries, kept poor and uneducated? Either side you are on, the masters are the same, the game is still the same, and you are still enslaved.
Hey everybody, Josh Sigurdson, World Alternative Media here, and of course we're joined by author and economic analyst here at WAM, John Sneisen, and we have some effed up news, and it's something that we have been predicting for a long time. I swear that we can read minds, but I think it's just common sense after reading history. As City AM reports, European bureaucrats draw a plan to drag all EU 27 nations into the single currency after Brexit, because there's a bunch of crybabies that love globalism so much, and they're like, you know what, in spite of all this, we're going to push for a global currency, or a globalist currency. And it's something that we've been talking about a lot, but this comes from leaks, and that's a key part of this, is that these are leaked documents. And John, can you go into what this all is and what it means?
Well, as the Eurozone is kind of teetering on the edge of collapse, what they want to do now is they want to implement in the non-Euro user countries, which is the currency, they want them to implement the Euro. And what that will create is a full-fledged Euro zone. And then now they could implement the one centralized bank for everybody. Because the problem is you had the pound, sterling, right? That now are, because of Brexit, they're doing this. They're actually wanting to get everybody like, okay, since the Brexit was a massive blow and could collapse the European Union, now they want everybody to just huddle together and be one big collective and sing Kumbaya when the euro is burning.
Well, that's been the plan all along. As we went into last year, actually, the leaked Bilderberg documents went into this extensively, going back to the 1980s, actually going back to the 70s, really, before they were calling it the European Union and all that. This has been going on for a long time. And what's interesting is that this could be much worse than just fiat, as we've also gone into. It's more about a potential cashless society. As we've talked about in the past, they've been drafting up these plans through the special drawing rights to ensure a global cashless society.
There are 3 things that are happening in Canada right now. One we talked about is the Home Capital Group. Now, this financial institution caters to subprime borrowers, and we can see right now that a lot of the deposits in this financial institution, well, they have left. And we can see that they can't get any more funding. And we can see this is one particular thing in Canada right now, which is troubling, because what is happening is they're very nervous that this is going to spread. Now, the other thing is that the provincial government of Ontario announced a laundry list of measures, including a 15% tax on purchases by non-resident foreign investors. And this has caused a problem in the area. And again, what we're seeing right now is out in Toronto, it's starting to look like 2008, when you walk down the street and you see this house is for the sale, this house is for sale, this house is for sale, and there's no one coming to purchase these homes. And what we're seeing is the same thing happening in Toronto. And if you go onto Zillow and you look at many different neighborhoods around the country, you can see the same thing. Actually, you can zoom in and you can see how many houses are for sale on the one block. And then you can see how they drop the prices over a certain period of time, and still they haven't sold. So we're seeing a major problem, and this is going to spread just like it did in 2008. And when we start to put everything together, where we see retail, which is completely contracting on itself, it's imploding right now with all these stores closing down, with stores going bankrupt, and pretty soon we're going to see empty malls, we're going to see empty strip malls, and a lot of these stores will no longer exist that you've been shopping at for a very long time. Now, it doesn't mean that everyone's taking their cash and going to the online market where they're going to Amazon and all these places, because again, online sales is only 8% of the entire retail industry. I mean, does it make any sense where the productivity of the United States continually declines during a recovery like this, where they're telling us that everything's fine and the stock market continually moves up and up and up? No. We're living in this world which is a complete illusion. The central bank can create an illusion, make everyone believe in the illusion, and then they can crash the illusion. And this is what they have done. They've created this illusion, and people really believe that this economy is strong and it's going to be okay forever. And it's not. We see signs all over the place where things are rapidly falling apart. All you need to do is open your eyes, take a look, and think to yourself, why would this be happening now? I mean, really, look at the numbers. I know the corporate media is saying, oh, it's all because of online. They keep saying that to convince you over and over and over. But look at the numbers. Wouldn't we see all those dollars going into online businesses? Wait a minute, doesn't all the brick and mortar stores have online businesses? We would see the dollars, maybe not all of it, move right into online businesses, but we're not seeing that whatsoever.
The world's reserve currency and fiat currencies in general have been mismanaged so badly, and people have been deflected from going to the historical alternatives to such an extreme extent that we've seen the rise of cryptocurrencies. And we've seen these cryptocurrencies, and there's quite a few of them that could be named. We don't have time to name them all because there are literally that many of them. But let's just say this. I gave an interview a week ago about cryptocurrencies with Greg Hunter. And at the time, I listed the top 4 cryptocurrencies in that interview because there were only 4 of them that had market capitalizations in excess of $1 billion. And so that was about 8 days ago. Today, there are 7 cryptocurrencies with market capitalizations of over $1 billion. And these cryptocurrencies have seen rises in value in the last 3 months. The one that had risen the most in percentage terms was up over 60%. The next biggest rise was, I believe it was Ethereum, and it was up over 20 times in the last 3 months. I have a general distrust towards the cryptocurrencies because fundamentally I believe like the internet was a creation of DARPA, which is the U.S. military industrial complex, the dark operations side of that. And I do believe, and I think I'm on quite solid ground to state that there does exist such a thing as an internet kill switch. And I've stated to some of my confidants in the past that it wouldn't put it past me to see these people utilize an internet kill switch to quash an uprising in cryptos if it became not to their liking. To which people have said to me, there's no way they could ever kill the internet. And, I think about that and I let that idea roll around in my head. And I think in terms of the globalists who control our monetary system as it is today are the same people who believe in their writings that they can win a nuclear war. They believe that the ideal population for this planet is 500 million instead of the 7 billion-ish that we have today. And then I ask myself the question again: are these really the kind of people that would never use an internet?
Fair enough. Okay, Roger, your special subject tonight is the economies of the European community. Your time starts now. Best of luck.
Thank you.
How much does Greece owe, Roger?
$367 billion.
Correct. And who do they owe it to?
Mostly to the other European economies.
Correct. How much does Ireland owe?
$865 billion.
Correct. And who do they owe it to?
Other European economies, mostly.
Correct. How much do Spain and Italy owe?
$1 trillion each.
Correct. Who to?
Mainly France, Britain and Germany.
Correct. And how are Germany, France and Britain going, Roger?
Well, they're struggling a bit, aren't they?
Correct. Why?
Because they've lent all these vast amounts of money to other European economies that can't possibly pay them back.
Correct. So what are they going to do?
They're going to have to bail them out.
Correct. Where are they getting the money to do that, Roger?
That's a good question. I don't know the answer to that one.
How much does Portugal owe?
Hang on a minute. What was the answer to that earlier question?
Just keep answering the questions, Roger. Where is Portugal going to get the money it owes to Germany if Germany can't get back the money that it lent to Italy?
Just a minute. What was the answer to the previous question? The question was, how can broke economies lend money to other broke economies who haven't got any money because they can't pay back the money the broke economy lent to the other broke economy and shouldn't have lent it to them in the first place because the broke economy can't pay it back?
You're wasting very valuable time, Roger. How much money does Spain owe to Italy?
$41 billion, but where are they going to get it?
Correct. What does Italy owe to Spain?
$27 billion, but they haven't got it. They're broke.
Correct. How can they pay each other if neither of them has any money?
They're going to get a bailout, aren't they?
Correct. And where's the money coming from for the bailout?
That's what I'm asking you.
Correct. Why are people selling the European currency and buying the US dollar?
Because the US economy is so much stronger than the European economy.
Correct. Why is that, Roger?
Because it's owned by China.
Correct. And very well done. And after that round, you've lost $1 million.
I've lost $1 million. I thought you said well done.
Yes, well done. You've only lost $1 million. That's an extraordinary performance, Roger.
I've only lost $1 million.
Very well done.
And that's quite good, is it?
Oh, it's excellent.
Sell everything immediately.
The yuan has risen above the euro as the second most used currency. Most countries have traded the US dollar for the yuan. Today, most countries use yuan for oil trade. Russia trades in yuan. Iraq trades in yuan. Germany, Canada, Sweden, Indonesia, Australia and Malaysia, to name a few more. Many will switch to the yuan, only for it to fall. The yuan will collapse. It seems likely it will be one of the last to fall. As so many are migrating to that currency, it seems it has been set up to reap the benefits. Though after doing so it will collapse, leaving all who trusted in it in the same, if not worse, position than the rest. All that needs to be done is for China to lessen the amount of importing of oil, and we all fall down. The elite always play both sides, switching people from one hand to the other. They want the dollar to die, so they will get many onto their new option, the yuan. This is happening through the AIIB, the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank, the Asian Central Bank System. 40 countries including Denmark, Netherlands, North Korea, have joined this global club thus far. In reality, China's coal and steel and door producers are bankrupt. The producers need cheaper imports to keep costs under control and pay back debts. So the yuan has been put forth as a strong and reliable currency. With their new investors, at least the Chinese can try to catch up. However, this inflation, as we know, will only create a collapse. The real kicker is that the elite have been stockpiling and hoarding gold to create this situation for centuries. This is why the Knights Templar stole and hid massive amounts of gold in their time. Why every empire who has taken over territory has hid the gold it has found, keeping it out of circulation, making total collapse inevitable. So we will all turn to the one who holds it all when the time comes. The Nazis stole and hid their gold in Antarctica and in underground tunnel systems. The US has been guarding the gold hidden by the Knights Templar in the Philippines for many decades now. It seems the president is eager to get the Americans out of his country at long last, possibly trying to repair his country by regaining control over the gold. Karen Hughes stated in an interview, "There is 170,500 metric tons of gold deposited in a vault in the Bank of Hawaii, 130,500 metric tons in MX Hong Kong, plus 150,000 metric tons in Development Bank of Singapore, for a total of 451,000 metric tons. There is an additional amount exceeding 100,000 metric tons in other American banks. This does not even scratch the surface. The Vatican vaults have untold amounts of gold given to it by the poor, the rich, the kings and queens, the politicians, the warlords, the child traffickers, and countless crusades, not to mention how much the elites have stolen and buried from every war in history. Do not be fooled into thinking there is somehow not enough real currency for every person in the world. The point of currency is to acknowledge and accept slavery. That is all. That is why we use a certain rock, a piece of paper. Both are worthless, pointless, and have always been used against you to keep you enslaved, instead of living. Most people in the world today worship money. It is all they can think of, focus on, spend their time on, worry over, stress about, talk about. It is all-consuming. It is their God. They worship it. Should you be one of them, we hope you will wake up. Understand that there is no such thing as money. There is no such thing as you owning something. You are a slave. You are blinded by it. Release yourself from this control and be free. Stop being consumed by an illusion, a lie. There is plenty of gold rock for everyone in the world, hidden and kept from you, to control you. Once all of these currencies collapse, the world will turn to whatever solution they have planned. We already know this involves an implanted microchip. This has happened already in India. One only need look there to see the testing grounds for the elite's world currency. All one need do to see where they are headed is to look around. The beauty of this destruction is it all will fall one right after the other. All fiat currency always reverts back to what it is. Nothing. It is all orchestrated so precisely. Every country will dissolve, devastating the entire world. It is going to be a masterpiece. Though it is quite simple to never have a bit of stress over this. If you prepare for what you can, prepare your body and mind, prepare others as well. If you do not understand how to live in an unnatural society, out of the control of the government, out of the control of money, then we suggest you watch our previous videos as we have discussed the anarchical society greatly. Do some research into it. Larkin Rose makes videos explaining how to be an anarchist, a member of humanity. If we would work together, this collapse would mean and cause nothing to change. Everyone would have all they need, be taken care of, and take care of others. However, everyone is so brainwashed, chemically altered, so filled with anger and violence, unable to use their minds. The masses will panic, like ants in the rain. The masses will scatter and run in circles. Chaos, giving the governments the perfect chance to call in martial law, and implement the chip. We are in the days of chaos, for the hand of order is opening soon. They must make the world ready to accept it, to beg for it, to love it. The New World Order, the global community, the total control of the elite. So prepare yourself. Be free from the bondage of the elite. Do not allow money to be your enslavement. Do not be washed away with the masses. When the storm hits, this is one of 3 waves of destruction we will face before the world government is in place. You can expect it.